Hey, what's up you guys? SuperRaeDizzle here. Welcome back to my channel. And in today's Anybody Can Draw This video series, I found these cute little gems, kind of cartoony, and I thought, hey, anyone can draw these. They're super easy. So if you guys like these gems and you want to learn how to make them, stay tuned. And of course, links to all the supplies will be in the description box below. And with that being said, let's just start. Alright, so first things first, we're going to need to create the outline of the gem. When it comes to I can't talk, sorry guys. When it comes to gems, there are all kinds of different styles, shapes, colors for you guys to choose from. Today I chose an oval shape that kind of tapers at the end, so one side will be a little bit smaller than the other. Now that I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like an egg. Well, not kinda, it does. It's an egg. I drew an egg. So I guess that brings us to the next step. Fill in the egg with a white base layer. Since it's untouched paper, I like to focus on the areas that I want to be super white first. So that includes two areas, the outer rim, or I guess inner rim, and the area where my light source is going to hit the brightest. So right where I'm scribbling. And the rest I'm just going to put in a light little layer, that way it'll be easier to blend here in a little bit. And yeah, I do realize it's like literally turning into an egg, even worse than what it was. But I promise we're not making an egg. Not today anyway. The next step is to add in the first shadows. And now that I'm editing, I should have started with that in the very beginning because it would have been easier to blend it out. But whatever, it's not that big of a deal. We're going to trek on. So where you're going to put the shadow is going to be completely opposite of where your light source is. So, for example, my light source is here, and that means that my shadow will be here. So my only tip here is to blend as much as you can with the shadows. The first layer of shadows will be this light gray, and then later we're going to go ham and put a black colored pencil there, but that's like way later in the tutorial. So next things next, we are going to be adding in the lightest shade of your color, and this will no longer be an egg. So first, let me show you guys exactly what we're going to be shading in. We're going to be shading in the whole entire area I'm circling off. I'm just going to kind of like lightly shade, nothing too crazy. And I'm also just kind of feathering it out to blend more. So once you're done feathering it out and everything, you're going to want to blend it out to a smooth finish. And this is where the love of my life comes in, the white Prisma colored pencil. And you'll be seeing this a lot because we're going to be blending between every single layer. Just because we want like a really nice smooth finish. Plus, it'll make it a million times easier to blend the next layer, so double whammy. Which leads us to our next step, and that'll be adding in the mid-tone color. So this next step, you guys, is super easy peasy. It's pretty much the exact same thing as the previous step except with a darker color. And there is one little thing, and that is to try to avoid one area to put in a highlight later. And that just means don't go too dark. The area that I'm currently circling, yeah, don't go too hard with the pigment there. And just like the last step, you better blend. And of course, I'm going to blend with the Prismacolor again. And just a pro tip, don't be afraid to add in more saturation, more color, especially if you're using a white colored pencil because they do tend to wash everything out. Alright, cool. So on to step number 6, adding in the darkest color. And again, this step is going to be super easy. So what you're going to do is basically color over the midtone. So everything that you just did, color over that with the darker color. And I'm still avoiding all the highlighted areas like the plague. Plus, you just don't want to muddy everything up, you know? And this brings us to step number 7, final blend / reinforcing all the shades. And here is the plot twist. I am going to be using 2 types of blending this time. So first, I am going to be blending out the lighter areas of the gem with the white colored pencil. Now that I'm done blending with the white colored pencil, I'm going to get the back of my Tortillon / Tortillon / tortilla, depending on where you live, you call it different things, and I'm just going to blend out the rest of the areas that I don't want to be kind of toned down by the white. So pretty much every dark shadow. Are you still with me? It's usually at this point that I start making things more complicated than they need to be. And you can definitely see how well it works to use the back of the tortillon to blend, especially if your colored pencils are on the waxier side like the Prismas are. It's wonderful. So now the good news is that it's starting to take form. It's not just like a blob, you know? And with this step, you're going to want to add more blacks, more whites, and just amp things up, you know? And with this step, since you are going to be adding more color, you're going to want to blend more. And since you're going to blend more, it's going to kind of wash it out. So there's a few times that I go back in there with the colored pencil and blend a little bit. So I'm going to speed it up and we will skip to the outside shadows. Ooh. And take note that on the areas that I want to be like borderline white, I press really hard with the white colored pencil. That way it'll get a lot of extra highlight in there. And this brings us to the next step, adding in the casted / outer shadow. So what I like to do is get my black colored pencil, sharpened of course, and I like to just kind of start sketching out the area where I think the shadow will go. And you guys remember from earlier in the video, like way earlier, that where the highlight is, the shadow will go opposite to. And once I got a good feel for everything, I just started buffing out that line that I created just to diffuse some of the shadows. And just take note that building up shadows does take time. You know, you want to start off light and build up gradually, you know. You don't want to go too hard too quick because then it'll be too harsh. So yeah, just take it slow, you got this, you can do the thing. This next step is totally optional, but it's something that I kind of experimented with when I was creating these, and that is go around the perimeter with a pencil. Now this will just kind of sharpen it up and make everything look a little bit more clean, give some more depth, but either way, if you want to, you can. If not, that's cool too. And this brings us to our last step, and that is make the highlights pop with paint. I usually just take the little slightest bit and just kind of dab it on in a little line on the area that we want to be pure white, which is in the upper right hand corner. And then just randomly I'll add just the tiniest little bit on the sides just to kind of imply that the sides are getting some light too. And with that being said, here is the final color corrected image along with some extra examples that I threw in there. Hope you guys learned a little something. I love you guys, and I will see you next video.